Hey guys, welcome to Rock Talks. Today we're talking to Dino Cazares from Fear Factory. We discuss the upcoming album Aggression Continuum, what was his reaction when he listened to Archetype and Transgression for the first time, his best memory with Burton C. Bell, and how the process of getting a new singer is going. If you like this interview, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share the video with all your friends. Also, very important, please subscribe and hit the bell. Hello, Dino. How are you, man? Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Rock Talks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on your show.
Awesome. So let's start with this interview. So the new album, Aggression Continuum, right, will be out in a week, couple of weeks?
Roughly about 10 days. It's Aggression Continuum, and it comes out June 18th.
All right, great. So what do you say if we try something different around here? Because I got the chance to see a bunch of other interviews with you, and you kind of answer all the same questions again, so you must be bored at this time. So
well, you know, that's part of doing the promotion.
Yeah, I know. So what do you say if we pretend we're on a record store? Yeah, a record store, and you are selling me the record, the new Fear Factory album, right? So I'm gonna walk in the store, and I'm gonna be the customer. Hey man, I'm looking for this new CD by this by this legendary band called Fear Factory. Do you know if this is any good? What can you tell me about the record?
Well, first of all, we do have one left because we sold 200 that I had ordered. I have one left, and if you really, really want this CD, I will sell it to you. But do you know the band Fear Factory? Have you listened to the music before?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the albums, The Manufacturer, Obsolete, and also this one right here, Mechanize. I really love this one as well. Mechanize. So this new album sounds kind of like these albums.
So you listen, so you know the band, so I have no problem selling you this CD. Now, just so you know, this is definitely one of their top, the CD is in the top classic Fear Factory style CDs. It's somewhere in the intensity and the heaviness of Mechanized, and it has a diversity of Obsolete. So if you love those records, you're gonna love this record because the music is intense. The riffs are fucking ripping. The vocals are on point. It's definitely a classic Fear Factory record. Now, because it's my last CD, I'm gonna have to charge you a little more for it. Are you prepared to pay a little bit more for it?
Well, it depends. Is it a deluxe edition?
It's not a deluxe. It's not a deluxe edition, but I will definitely have the guitar player, sign it for you.
All right. What's his name?
His name is Dino Cazares, and he's a legendary Latino in metal.
All right. That was great, Dino. Thank you so much. But actually, it's Cazares, not Cazares.
It could be Cazares, Cazares. I've heard it all.
So let's go back to the new album. So my first question right now in this interview mode, let's say, is why didn't you decide to redo the vocals with the new singer? I know that you didn't choose the new singer yet, but you already decided to put out the record with Burton's voice.
Yes. Well, first of all, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but when you sign a record contract, the record company is the one who owns the masters. Okay. Yeah. Now, I wanted to change the vocals because Burton had quit. I wanted to change the vocals. But the record company wanted me to keep his vocals, and they wanted me to leave the vocals and leave the vocals on there because they wanted it to be like, this is Bert's last record. This is a swan song. This is how the record was intended to be heard. That's how they looked at it. eventually I agreed to that, and so that's why I had to keep the vocals on the record.
All right. Yeah, sounds pretty logical. So, do you plan to play half the record live or just the singles when you go out on tour to promote this new album?
Well, first of all, we have a lot of songs to choose from, as you know.
Yeah.
We have a very big catalog, you know what I mean? And it's going to be cool to add to 2 to 3 different new songs. I would love to play this record in its entirety somewhere, you know, somehow, someday. But, you know, you have so many songs to choose from that people want to hear all the classics, you know what I mean? So we would probably only do 2 to 3 songs from the new record. And do you want to know what songs I would pick? Well, obviously, Disruptor, of course, right?
Yeah. The first single.
And we would probably start the show with Recode, because that's the first song on the record. That's the next video that's coming. So it's going to be part 2. It's going to be part 2 of Disruptor. So the story will continue. So you get to find out what happened to the girl and the characters in the video. Yeah. So it would
When is this new video coming out?
June 18th, the same day as the record comes out.
Oh, all right.
So
you were saying
it would be Recode, it would be Disruptor, and probably the title track. There's too many good songs on this record to choose from, you know. I just have to see what the most popular songs are, which would be Recode, Disruptor, maybe Fuel Injected Suicide Machine, or maybe a different one. We'll see.
Yeah, sounds promising. Great. So, did you expect all that negativity from some fans on social media? Took you by surprise, maybe, or you were expecting that?
I was expecting that, of course, because, you know, obviously, you know, your singer leaves the band, right? And of course, no one ever likes to take responsibility of why they're out of the band. They always like to blame other people, and of course, I got blamed, of course. And so, yeah, I expected to take all the backlash that was, you know, a lot of people had answers. A lot of people had questions, and they wanted to know what happened, you know, why it happened. And I was there to let them know, you know, as well as I could, explain what happened. You know what I mean? Some parts are unexplainable because I just don't know. You know what I mean? So, but I am very vocal on social media. I'm very active, and so I try to answer everybody's questions and also prepare them for change. There's going to be change. You know, some people don't like change. I get it. Some people don't like their favorite bands to break up. Some people think that their favorite bands are all brothers, right?
No.
But it doesn't work out that way. It's all relationships. Everything is relationships, right? Some relationships last, some relationships don't. You know, some people lose friends. It just happens. You know what I mean? And that's in my situation. You don't stop doing what you're doing because you lose a friend. You don't stop being who you are or what you're doing. You know, for instance, I'm not going to stop doing Fear Factory because, you know, somebody decided to quit the band. No way. No way should I. And all the people who try to tell me to change the name or to quit or to move on, all I can say is fuck no.
That's okay. Plus, all the bands on the world move forward without the original singer, without the original drummer or guitar player or whatever.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. Actually, there's very difficult to find a bunch of bands that continue all their career with all the original members, right? Right. That's very rare. Not even Metallica.
Not even Metallica. Not even Metallica. Yeah, but that's they kicked Dave Mustaine out. You know, one of the guys died. You know, things change, things happen, and you just have to roll with it. Some people say, well, some of the members are. I've heard a lot of people say some of the members are, you know, you could change some of the members, but you can't change some of the core members. That's what I've heard a lot of times. But no, that's not true. There are core members who there's core solo members who keep going. You know what I mean, with the band.
Totally.
So, and you know what? That's okay. People
That's
can say what they want. Yeah, people can say what they want to say. Doubters can doubt me. You know, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter how much they cry. Pinchi chillons. I'm gonna be fucking able. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. I don't care.
Well, I'm sure after they listen to the singles, they don't doubt you anymore. Maybe.
Well, you know, they think that one guy is responsible for everything, but it's not necessarily true. Mm-hmm. But in my situation, I'm able to handle the music, no problem. That's what I've been doing since day one.
Right.
And
that's great.
But yeah, and then vocalist, you just find the right person. That's it.
Yeah,
find
that's my next question, Dino. You already told us in different interviews that the next Fear Factory singer could be a man or a woman that you didn't decide. But what do you actually are looking for in this new singer? Because some bands, when they have to replace the original singers, they look for a clone or a copycat, right? And some other bands, they get a guy who sounds totally different from the original guy. So what are you actually looking for in this new guy?
Well, first of all, I'm not changing the formula of Fear Factory. Still going to be ripping guitars, killer fucking kick drums with heavy and melodic vocals. So that formula is still going to stay there. So I got to look for a singer, right? Or the singer that I choose has to be able to do both, heavy and melodic. A lot of guys, a lot of people that I've auditioned on video can do one or the other really good. It's hard to do both good, and that was the difficult thing of finding the right person. Right now, there are people out there who can do it and they do it well, right? And I found a few of them. But the only reason that I have not decided on one particular person is because of the COVID restrictions. I haven't been able to get them to Los Angeles to be here with us, to work with them, to see how they are, as people. Because I don't know them. I have to get to know them. Exactly. What happens if I pick a guy who's fucking amazing, but we don't get along?
Yeah.
Nobody likes him. He likes to do a lot of cocaine. He likes to shoot up heroin. Who knows?
Oh, no.
I don't know. You know what I mean? They might have something wrong, so you never know. And vice versa. They might not like me. Who knows? Yeah. So
how many guys did you actually choose just yet as a finalist, guys?
Well, right now there's 4 in a finalist, but because of COVID, we kind of have time. So if anybody still wants to send in some submissions, remember, you got to be able to sing and heavy both together, because a lot of people have sent me a lot of videos where they just sing heavy and that's it, and they just think that's what they never heard Fear Factory before. They never heard the melodic vocals. It's kind of weird.
That's a very important part in the sound of Fear Factory.
Yeah, and then I've heard some guys who have beautiful, amazing melodic vocals, but they can't do heavy. So you know what I mean? So to find the person who does the both hasn't been really difficult, but just has been less submissions of the styles that are like that style that's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've been
person who could do both.
I've been looking for Fear Factory singers, Fear Factory covers on YouTube, and I found this really good band called Meridian Dawn. The band did a cover by the song Descent, Descent by Fear Factory.
Of course.
His name is Anthony Hamalainen. Have you ever heard of this band or maybe this guy?
No, but that song in particular is melodic all the way through.
Yeah.
So does he showcase the heavy part and the melodic part? Not in that song.
So yeah, you are correct. So when you are
So
when you
maybe he's
say,
good at, maybe he's just good at singing the melodic part. That's why he chose that song to do a cover of. You have to find that guy who's doing both. That's the hard part.
so when you say that you are looking for a guy that can actually do the heavy parts, on singing, you meant that you are looking for a guy who can do gutturals, like really low voice, like Soul of a New Machine, or maybe like the kind of voice that Burton did on The Manufacturer, right? A little more harsh, let's say.
I would say as low as the song Disruptor. Disruptor has I refuse, that part that he's singing on that pre-chorus, where that's about as low as I want. He doesn't have to go as low as Soul of a New Machine, because since we've done Soul of a New Machine, we've never really gone back to those vocals.
Yeah, I know. All right. So, Dino, all for the past year and a half, or maybe even more, like 3 years, there's been a lot of, sadly, negativity between you and Burton and the other guys. So I'm not gonna ask you about that. I want to go to the other side. Can you tell me what is your best memory about playing music with Burton, or maybe you wanna highlight some quality about the guy? Let's bring some positivity about the whole issue.
Well, first of all, we cannot disrespect the body of music that he left behind. He created a style that we developed over the years. A style. One of the beauties, and I'm going to say this in general about Fear Factory. One of the beauties about being successful in Fear Factory is that we were able to find a very unique style and sound, and original style and sound, that people are still influenced by today. Now, one of the reasons why Fear Factory is still current today, because people are still using the same formula that we influence them in modern music today. We kind of don't necessarily get that respect. We kind of get left behind when it comes to stuff like that, and I don't know why. There was even a video that I want to say Loudwire put out on YouTube, where they were talking about the history of heavy and melodic vocals. Fear Factor did not even get mentioned once, and everybody they mentioned was after us. So that was so weird that I was like, what? Like, they just completely just went right past us.
That's terrible.
So yeah, it's I think it's just funny and it's ironic. What I'm trying to say is, like, we created a style that people are still influenced by, but the people who are influenced by it today may not even know where it came from.
Yeah, I remember back in 03, 04, when all these new wave of American heavy metal bands, right? Chimera, Shadows Fall, Killswitch Engage, Unearth, God Forbid, all those great bands. I was really into those kind of bands back in the day. And one of the first things that I noticed about the sound of these bands is, man, they are really, really influenced by Fear Factory, like all the way, vocally and musically. Do you agree?
Yeah, and that's okay. I don't. Yeah, I mean, definitely that I see that some of these people who are influenced by us, definitely have given us respect over the years. Devin Townsend gave us a really, really big. He did a whole podcast about Fear Factory influencing them. I've even read somewhere that the Meshuggah guys, I believe it was Martin, might have given us a big shout out of influence. There's different places where it comes from, and I think it's really cool that we were able to influence somebody. I mean, that's part of your job, in a way, to create something new, create something unique, create something that belongs to you, and that you can influence other people to take it and go somewhere further with it. I mean, we were influenced by a lot of killer bands, when we were first starting, when I was first starting, when I was just developing my style as the sound for Fear Factory. I was developing a certain style that I wanted to create, and that was really to copy the machine, to copy a sampler, to copy the loop of a riff. That was pretty much what I wanted to start with Fear Factory, because I wanted it to be like a machine. I mean, the whole concept of Fear Factory is like that,
Yeah.
even from the very, very first album, Soul of a New Machine. It's exactly why I named it Soul of a New Machine, because it was the birth of this sound, the birth of the band, the birth of the creation of something new. That's exactly why I named it Soul of a New Machine. It's exactly why I put a baby being born through a
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was thinking
That's
about
why
that. Yeah.
that's exactly why I wanted to create that,
Mhm.
because this is exactly what it was. And we were telling you on the artwork what it is.
Yeah, I remember too back in '03, maybe '04, when Fear Factor, of course, you weren't there, but Burton said something like, "We are the Archetype band. We influenced all over those years to all these new bands. So that's why this album that still sounds like Fear Factory is called Archetype." So since we're talking Archetype, I know you already said in other interviews that you recognize Archetype and Transgression as part of the Fear Factor history, right? So that's great. But my question is, what was your reaction back then when Archetype was released? What do you think about the record back in '04?
Well, when I heard the first riff to the song Slave Labor, I did a double take. I'm like, what? What? It sounded like me playing that. It sounded like me playing that riff. It sounded like Shock, the song
Yeah,
Shock from Obsolete. I was like, Shock's
yeah, it's kind of
same
similar.
intro, same style, same snare pattern. And I was like, fuck. Like I literally, in my mind, I actually thought it was me for a second. I was like,
Yeah,
holy
yeah,
shit. But then I realized, of course it's not new stuff. And I think they were able to carry the tradition of the Fear Factory formula through that record, through at least half of the record. The second half kind of went somewhere else. But when it got to Transgression, I was like, what the hell is that?
yeah.
Like, this doesn't even sound like the same band.
I
It was
agree.
like they definitely stepped out of the formula, and it just was like, it's still part of the Fear Factory catalog, I have to admit, but it wasn't exactly a record that I think that the majority of the fans liked. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Of course, there's people who like it, but the majority of the fans were like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I think they went a little too far with the experimentation of the sound on
I
Transgression.
wouldn't even say, a little bit, a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Yes, they
I
went
was
really
trying to be
out.
nice.
Yeah, that's probably the most probably odd record of
Yeah.
the one that doesn't sound like a really
Yeah.
Fear Factory record.
Plus, the production was really kind of cheap. It sounds like a demo, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know what they did there. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. I wasn't in the band, so I don't really know. But all I knew is that when I came back to Fear Factory, and we put out Mechanized, I knew that I needed to bring the power back. I knew that I needed to bring the style back.
Yeah.
The record was fucking ripping. And in some cases, the record was kind of too heavy for some people. I mean, coming off of Transgression, and
Yeah.
they were doing songs like New Hope, and they were doing really light, mellow stuff. So in contrast to that, when Mechanized came out, it was like 100 times heavier and ripping and
Yeah.
fast. It just guitar solos and riffs were everywhere. And some people were like, holy shit, this is heavy. This is like, might have been too heavy for some people.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what it was a
but I
heaviest
didn't
Fear
care.
Factory album at that point back then.
Yeah. Well, you had Soul of a New Machine, then you had Mechanized, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so people were like, what the fuck? I mean, some people were excited. Holy shit, this is fucking ripping. Fuck yeah, this is fucking Fear Factory's back. And some people were like, Fear Factory's back, but it's a little heavy, maybe because some people got used to the record before that. But and
Yeah.
I carried the tradition all the way through, the fucking ripping riffs, the fucking industrial vibe, up until now, up until this new record, Aggression Continuum.
All right, let's go back to the 90s for a bit. You know, in my opinion, the three most important metal bands in the 90s were Pantera, Fear Factory, and Machine Head. But all the time, even till this day, some metalheads, especially like really old metalheads, they say, "Oh, the '90s were really terrible for metal. It was the worst decade in metal." And I'm like, "Hey, man, Pantera, Fear Factory, Machine Head, and a bunch of other great bands." So, since you are the guitar player of Fear Factory, my question is: was it difficult to be a metal band in the '90s?
No, but I think that the bands that were not big in the 90s were probably part of the 80s. And that's exactly why, when Nirvana pretty much, I mean, thrash metalheads may not even understand what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that when Nirvana came along, it changed the landscape of how people like music. So whatever was popular in the 80s going into the 90s was kind of canceled out through Nirvana and Pearl Jam and whatever the grunge stuff that was coming up and getting really big, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, all that stuff kind of killed some of the older metal bands. I'm not going to say killed, but just put them in back, pushed them back out of the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the newer school metal bands like Fear Factory, Machine Head, and Pantera were able to transcend through that grunge era and survive and make it. And I think that Fear Factory was different enough, even Machine Head, Type O Negative, Life of Agony, all that stuff was like different enough to survive the traditional metal that was kind of pushed back. And when I say traditional metal, I mean like, even Iron Maiden, even Judas Priest, even Testament, Exodus, all those thrash metal bands were kind of pushed behind. So, and even Metallica changed. They went more alternative looking.
Alternative, yeah, load, reload.
They were trying to keep up with the times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Some bands went into hibernation. You know what I mean? But that's just how it is. That's music. Music goes in cycles. People might not agree with me, but I was there. I pretty much lived it. I saw it. But music goes in cycles. You know what I mean? Right now, thrash metal is big again. Bands like Slayer, all those bands like that were huge, and they came back. You know what I mean? So it wasn't until the 2000s where all those bands came back, and boom, they're at the top again where they used to be. Anthrax, Testament, Exodus, all those bands are good. And yeah, exactly. All those bands kind of went a little bit into hibernation. You know what I mean? They weren't as big as they were in the 80s, and then 90s they kind of went down, and then the 2000s they came right back up and got big again. And it's just a cycle. That's how it is. Music is a cycle sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So who's gonna be the bass player for Fear Factory? I know you already said that Tony Campos will stay in the band as the bassist, but in other interview you said that maybe Matt DeVries, former Chimera guitar player, could fill in when Tony is busy with Static X, right?
Exactly. You answered the question.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, Tony, Tony is obviously he has Static X, of course, that's his band, but at the same time, he still wants to do Fear Factory. And he's been my friend for a long time, 25 years, more, maybe less. But yeah, he's still in the band. He still wants to tour as much as possible with us. But when he's not available, and that's going to happen, when he's not available, we'll have a fill-in. I spoke to Matt DeVries, and Matt DeVries will fill in, but if Matt DeVries can't do it, there's a lot of guys to choose from. So I'm not too worried.
Yeah, because Chimera is supposed to come back when the pandemic is over. So they're gonna tour again and maybe release a new album. So it was kind of like maybe both bands, Chimera and Fear Factory, are gonna pull Matt from both arms.
Well, ultimately, what would be the best thing to do is if I want to use Tony, Fear Factory and Static X tour together, so Tony can do both. So, and then when Tony's doing other tours, maybe we could tour with Chimera so Matt Brees can do both. That would be all. That would be amazing. All that would work out, and that would be amazing if that's exactly how it was. But that's my dream. So
that sounds like a killer bill for a tour, of course.
oh yeah,